Hello and welcome to another Looney Tunes review video. If you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe to follow my journey to review all 1000 classic Looney Tunes shorts and give this video a like as well. So this is a review for Buckaroo Bugs, released in 1944. It is the 439th in the series, and it's directed by Bob Clampett. You can find this beautiful restoration on the Looney Tunes Gold Collection Volume 5 DVD set, and on the Platinum Collection Volume 2 DVD or Blu-ray set. I've links below to both those sets. You will not find this on YouTube. It is a copyrighted cartoon, so I can't play the full short here. But in case you haven't seen this wonderful cartoon, there's not really much that happens. You just have the opening, which starts off pretty peaceful, but then we see a bit of a ruckus, and we see that the masked marauder had stolen carrots from the Victory Garden, and it's up to Red Hot Rider to track down the masked marauder, but of course Red Hot Rider is pretty stupid. First up, you're going to see is a re-edit of the original commentary track I did with my good friends Eli Copperman, Blue Genocide, who's the editor of this redo, and the debut of my good friend Manny Cruz, the Toonie Tenor. He didn't have the best mic at the time, and he's kind of embarrassed about this, but hey, we all got to start somewhere, right? Then after that, we'll go through the short in more depth, so without further ado, let's get into it. So we got Manny Cruz, Blue Genocide, and Eli Copperman joining in on the party. Say hi, guys.
Greetings and salutations.
Funny joke here. I got nothing. I want to watch the cartoon.
But here, there was a reference to the whole San Fernando Valley. I believe that's a reference to the Bing Crosby song that was around this time. And, you know, Clampett would be so deep in his pop culture references from the radio and music and that. It's just a treasure trove of stuff. But including one of my favorite one-shot characters, the Red Hot Rider, based off the, I believe it's Red Rider comic strip. We'll start with some music references. So Manny, you want to start with, like, what music did we hear in the beginning and, well, elsewhere, really?
Well, it's funny, the piece that you heard in the beginning you have Robert C. Bruce, the one and only, doing the narration in the beginning, and the music, oh, sorry, I have to stop, because this part always cracks me up. This is one of the earliest cartoons I saw growing up, and of course, this is Gioacchino Rossini, one of the greatest bel canto opera composers, overture to the opera William Tell. And every time I hear this piece, I just want to yell, "Whoa, Horsey, whoa!"
Yes.
And earlier on in the beginning of the cartoon, you had another famous piece of music, the Earl Turning. The Earl King is a German leader art song that was written by Franz Schubert. And again, every time I hear da-da-da-dun-dun, I think of this cartoon, or I think of Yosemite Sam, drawing out guns in another short. And of course, in this cartoon, you have plenty of other Western-related pieces: Indian Dawn, the Arkansas Traveler, which is the theme song of our beloved intelligent hero here. And one other one I can think of is near the end, you'll hear In the Stirrups by J.S. Zemechnik, who is a sound composer that Stalin quoted a lot. And somebody put up a recording of it on YouTube recently, and I'm so happy they did.
Yeah, well, that's a beautiful Bob McKimson animation there, Bugs Bunny, like one of the best drawings ever right there.
So the Bugs Bunny video guide is normally a very good website. It chronicles the entire history of home media releases the Looney Tunes have had ever since home media has been a thing. And they have a section dedicated to, like, talking about each cartoon and where you can find them. And they also include a little review. And the person that wrote these, it's not listed who wrote these, has something against Bob Clampett. And that is no more obvious in the review of this cartoon that they have on their site here. First of all, they gave this cartoon 2 stars out of 4, which is the same score they gave Bugs Bunny Nips the Nips. And this is the review. Ugly, lazy animation pervades this unfocused mess in which Bugs is miscast as a nasty villain, one typical of Clampett's more mean-spirited cartoons. Red Hot Rider is far too stupid, leaving the audience with nobody to really root for. Ryder's horse is perhaps the most entertaining character, especially in a scene where Ryder accidentally leaps onto a hitching post and has the horse take off without him. This cartoon's biggest highlight. Easily one of Clampett's worst Bug shorts. You remember how you just said that it has some amazing McKimson animation earlier on in the short,
Yeah.
but they think it looks lazy and ugly throughout this unfocused mess. And I'm just going to give like a 5-second review of this cartoon. This is one of Clampett's, not only one of his best, but one of the best Looney Tunes ever made. It doesn't matter that Bugs is sort of he's not out of character. He's just messing with somebody because he wants carrots.
John Kay did mention one interesting point, though, in that in a lot of later Bugs efforts, Bugs seems to be a bit more of a passive character, whereas in some of these earlier ones, especially Clampett ones, he's more, aggressive. Like he's actually does stuff, and I have to agree. I mean, what do you think of that, Eli?
Yeah, I think so too. And I think actually Bob did mention something in that aforementioned Michael Barrier commentary, because he actually did interview Bob for, I guess, Funny World magazine or something. I think Bob said that, like, early on, he and a lot of the other directors got to like experiment with characters like Bugs, Daffy, and Porky and all that. And then there came up a point where I don't know if this was like the regulation of theater owners or the director's choice or something, but it kind of became a point where they settled on the characters' personalities, and that kind of restricted them from being fully, not like experimental, but like fully in depth and like 3-dimensional fully, I guess. And so like here, yeah, Bugs is like the villain.
And look at the horse's feet.
Oh.
I was going to say, look at the horse's feet, and then we're going to see the infamous shot once he goes over the Grand Canyon of the horse literally putting its head inside out and pops out of its own rear end. I don't know if you guys have actually noticed that. I mean, that's a great freeze frame. I really wanted to point this out, as we're going to see right now. So he's jumping over the canyon as Bugs is giving a nice little breaking the fourth wall thing. It's like, there he is, and 3, 2, 1, pop.
You gotta see it too.
Ugly, lazy animation.
Lazy.
It's amazing.
I disagree,
and,
man.
And you can even hear for the first time in a commentary track, Michael Barrier actually let off a laugh, because usually he's like deadpan serious about these things, but he's actually chuckling by the end. So if that's not a making of a great cartoon, then I don't know what is. If you make Barrier laugh, then it's a strong sign.
If you make someone like Michael Barrier laugh, you did a good job.
Exactly.
It's been a while since I've seen this cartoon. I'm just still processing how incredibly funny this short is, and yeah, definitely one of the best Warner Brothers cartoons ever. I was going to say, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I know that the character of Red Hot Rider was based off a character that Red Skelton played on the radio at the time. Like I said, if I'm wrong, just look. And I think it was Clem Hopper, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm not quite sure.
Okay, but if I'm wrong, then I'll have somebody type in all caps in the comments, letting me know, and But that is the nature of being an animation researcher / enthusiast, whatever you want to call it. And again, the scene where the horse and Red Hot Rider jumping over, that was an example of in the stirrups, or I think it's also called Western scene from Deus Mechanic. And for years, I was trying to find that specific. I found the sheet music recently, actually, from a professor of mine in my graduate studies. And again, somebody was nice enough to record it and put it on YouTube, because there are other Zemeckis pieces that are available on YouTube to listen to. They'll have the sheet music. And this one was like, I just want to hear da 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 when the horse and Red Hot Rider clawing away at the cliff. And it's like the universe provided. And I'm so very happy. And I mean, we could go on for like 3 hours talking about how brilliant this short is. Well, I know that, but again, the review, great website, but that is definitely the hottest of the hot takes that I've heard in regards to this cartoon.
I mean, I wonder if Blue thinks whether that's a hotter take than my take on Shrek.
Yeah, because
which is a hotter shake.
I'm sorry. It's just that was the main thing I remembered about this site. Not just the wonderful facts about the VHS and like the Laserdisc history. It's just, I can't believe you call a Clampett cartoon ugly.
Yeah. Oh, well, as I said, everyone's got their own opinions. It's like whatever, it's still a great site. I mean, if you're the owner of the site, we love you. It's just we have a disagreement. That's all it is. All is to it. But gentlemen, there is one interesting fact that I didn't point out before. I was sort of saving till last. This is also the end of an era, a very important end of an era, and this is Leon Schlesinger's last produced short. He sold his studio to Warner's. So how about that?
Yeah.
So yeah, when we took a look at that, and honestly, as much as doing these redos can be annoying at times, when I have to rewatch a short like this, honestly, it doesn't feel like a chore at all. This is one of my absolute favorite shorts of all time. So a few bits of trivia that wasn't really touched upon. Look, it is the last short to have Leon Schlesinger's name on it. He did sell the studio to Warner's, and yes, I briefly mentioned that in the track, but I just want to elaborate that after this, the studio goes to Warner's proper. Schlesinger is in charge of the merchandising department for a few years, and then he passes away a few years later. So, not really too much happens to Schlesinger after this. But with Schlesinger leaving, Clampett would also pretty much leave as well. Now, one thing I didn't realize at the time is that this is actually the first Looney Tunes, not Merrie Melodies short, to have Bugs Bunny starring in it. So up until now, they've all been Merrie Melodies. He did cameo in Porky Pig's Feet, where that was a Looney Tunes short, but honestly, I don't really count that one. This is the first time we see him in a Looney Tunes short. And Red Hot Rider is a parody of the comedian Red Skelton, and he was really popular at the time on the radio, and he also had his own TV show. He was quite well known, and yet I feel these days is relatively obscure. I didn't even know who he was, being an Aussie. I've just never seen his show around here. Maybe he was shown, I don't know. But that's who he's parodying anyway. But let's take a look at this short from the start and go through a few things that I missed the first time around. One interesting thing about the opening. We hear Robert C. Bruce narrating, and if you look really closely, there's very little animation in it. There's a lot of scenes where it's just the camera panning over these still background shots, but there's really no animation aside from maybe some flames and some lights here and there, some more effects animation if anything. And it's only really when we see the whole Red Hot Rider appear and then we see our main character, that's when we start seeing all the wild animation that this short is known for. But it's highly effective here, showcasing the franticness after we hear the gunshots where it's like, wait, what? What's going on? What's going on? And all that confusion in that scene. So it actually works pretty well. And so the masked marauder strikes again. But was it Bugs that shot all those guns, or was it just people in retaliation? I don't know, but I think it's even funnier if Bugs actually did shoot those guns, but okay.
From the bank? No!
Now, according to Keith Scott's Cartoon Voices book, Robert C. Bruce did the narration, but he also did the crowd incidentals. And so if you listen to the woman's voice here, where it sounds like she says, "He pinched me," I'm pretty sure that's Robert C. Bruce doing a woman's voice, but regardless, it's still a pretty funny sounding voice. So we see that, no, this masked marauder did not rob any money from the bank. No, he robbed the Victory Garden. And just so you know, this short took place during World War II. And so it has a few minor war references, but thankfully it's nothing that's like a time capsule, if you will. You don't really need to know. For this kind of thing, all you need to know is that he stole carrots from a garden, and that's it. But Victory Gardens, that was like a wartime civilian resource initiative. So civilians were encouraged to plant crops because, after all, a lot of food was rationed back then, especially things like sugar and all that. But at least with vegetables, hey, if you grow your own Victory Garden, you're helping out the government in a small but effective way. But I do like some of the sayings here. Is what he's saying that sign-whining bushwhacker?
All the carrots from our Victory Garden, the side-whining bushwhacker.
I have no idea what on earth that even means, so if you know if that's come from somewhere, definitely let me know. But I love Robert C. Bruce's dramatic reading here, which would have been a parody of a lot of the Western-style radio shows at the time. My favorite bit is, "Dragon in the mud, the name of justice and decency." Just perfect reading by Robert C. Bruce. And sure, look, there is limited animation, but I love the added effect here. We see this nice, beautiful sunrise as we see the dawn of a new day where the Masked Marauder is going to be captured by the Red Hot Rider. Again, we get limited effects animation, but hey, it looks good and it's definitely effective. Now, as a kid, I didn't really understand the whole Brooklyn's famous fighting cowboy reference, but now that I know about Brooklyn, where it is, and so on, it's actually quite hilarious now that I actually understand it. It's just ridiculous.
How long will this fair weather fiend, the Masked Marauder, be allowed to roam at will, dragging in the mud the name of justice and decency? There is one man, and he alone can and will challenge and destroy the name and person of the Masked Marauder. Yes, one man and one man only, who can single-handed rid us of this rodent. Out of the West, Brooklyn's famous fighting cowboy, riding to right this wrong, rides Red Hot Rider!
And also as a kid, I've always loved the massive font of Red Hot Rider. That kills me as a kid, and it kills me now. It is amazing. But we get this wonderful touch that it's very subtle, but if you listen closely, it's quite interesting. So we go from obviously Bruce saying, "Whoa, Aussie, whoa," and then that transitions into Mel Blanc doing his wonderful voice for Red Hot Rider, one of my absolute favorite Mel Blanc voices ever. He's done so many voices, and this is one of my favorites.
Whoa, horsey! Whoa, horsey! Whoa! Whoa! Oh, come on now, horsey! Whoa! Please, horsey! Please, whoa!
So we finally see Red Hot Rider, and he's on a horse, and that horse is so determined looking, isn't he? I love the fact here you've got the horse on one cycle racing forward, looking all determined, and been minimally animated on its head a few times, but then you've got on a different level the animation of the Red Hot Rider where, he's standing on the horse's back, he even jumps down in front of the horse, pleading for the horse to just stop. I said, whoa, that kind of thing. But of course, he takes out a large club from his crotch. I mean, where else is he going to take it out from, right? I mean, this is a Clampett short after all, and we hear the horse being whacked off screen. I guess is one way to save on money, not animating the actual whack of this horse, but honestly, it's probably more funnier this way. And that drawing of the horse being knocked out absolutely kills me. Some might say it's a very suggestive drawing, and I won't go into detail on that, but nonetheless, it's still a pretty funny drawing there. But what killed me as a kid, though, when I was watching this, is just how Ryder would, between every sentence, just walking around, always do a variation of duh, or something like that, in a very weird melody, like he's humming to himself in a very stupid way. Just, wow, this character's one of my favorite side characters in Looney Tunes history, and I'm glad he's only in one, because I think if they reused him for any future shorts, definitely would pale in comparison. And we see our villain, quote unquote, Bugs Bunny, and some have said, look, he's out of character here, why is he a villain? And sure enough, I can agree that yes, he's not exactly in character like he would be in a lot of his future shorts, but honestly, I don't care. I'm so entertained by this that I can put that aside. But if you need further convincing that this is actually fine, just think of it as Bugs Bunny is an actor, he's a movie star, and this is him being in a movie and he's playing against type. So that's how I look at it. So maybe that'll help you if you're not a fan of this short. But anyway, I've always loved that line referring to Red Hot Rider that he's a fugitive from the funny papers, like this character's so bad that even the cartoon funnies at the time don't even want him. Fantastic. Boy, oh boy, again, Mel Blanc just kills me with Red Hot Rider's delivery. To be a fly on the wall during that recording session, I'd give anything to see it. That would have been amazing. And we see then Bugs establishes what he's going to do for the rest of the short. He's just going to torment this really stupid Red Hot Rider. So he'll be the cop, and I'll be the bad little wubber. Fantastic.
He wants to play cops and robbers, eh? Okay, you'll be the cop, and I'll be the bad widow wobber.
So Bugs disguises himself, and he's all like, stick him up, and he threatens Red Hot Rider, and Rider just stupidly replies, well, that's mighty neighborly of you. Such a weird response, isn't it? But anyway, and we see the first magnet bit of 2. I'm surprised they didn't go for a third one to do a whole rule of 3, but whatever, it's still pretty funny this way. So in this case, it's hilarious, but it's not too extreme yet. Listen to the music that plays in the scene, plus the follow-up. That seems to be a Starling original, because I'm looking at the music cues and there doesn't seem to be anything. So if it's an original, well, Starling may ape a lot of cues here and there, but when he does original music, he can do some pretty good stuff. And, you know, this short is known for its wild and out there animation, and rightly so, but sometimes even the smaller scenes have great animation, like how the hat is pulled over Red Hot Rider and Rider has to get out of it. Things like that. There are definitely some subtle touches, and I'll point a few out as we go along too. And naturally, once again, from the crotch, we get comically large guns coming out, which then turn into decent size after that. Just love that animation there. But the stupidity of Ryder, and you'll notice I'm going to call this character really stupid a lot, because he certainly is. I like how he's just looking all over the place, he even lifts up Bugs, even though the Masked Marauder's right in front of him. But then look at the animated scene. Again, this is another subtle thing. Look at the animation of Ryder. He's not being able to stand still pretty much the entire time in the scene. And while Bugs is thinking, has he seen that Masked Marauder? He's just standing still, is a lot more in control. Just the little touches like that make this work so well. I do have to wonder what sound effect they use for Ryder when he's shaking his head acknowledging what Bugs says.
Do you mean a guy what wears a mask? Like this? And he sticks you up like this?
But of course, we all know where this scene's going to end up leading, right? Where Bugs is going to go through everything in minute detail, and he's just going to say, nah, haven't seen him. We know that's coming, but hey, it's done so well here. But during the whole explanation, we see the second magnet bit, and this kills me every time because of how gruesome it would have been to have those fillings come out. I would argue this is probably one of the most gruesome things in any Looney Tunes shorts ever. Hands down. Apparently some historians don't even like that scene. They think it's way too gruesome, but I can see it, but I think it's pretty funny. And of course he even loses a nappy. You guys say diaper in America, we say nappies. Just that added touch, like why is he wearing that? I don't know. And we get a nice little leaf to cover up his dignity, I suppose, or whatever little he actually has. And then once Bugs says, nope, I ain't seen him, we even get a nice subtle little darn it expression on Ryder.
Yup, that's him, all right.
Nope, I ain't seen him.
So again, those little details just make it all work. So Bugs walks off screen, and why is Ryder just standing there going, die, die? He's just standing there, just acting all ridiculous. And then his face, so you see for a brief moment when he hears the commotion off screen. Fantastic.
Pull over to the curb. This is a stick-up.
Now, can we just say that this contraption that Bugs comes up with very quickly, mind you, is one of the most brilliant things in any Looney Tunes short ever? I mean, look at the detail on it. The more you look at it, just the more impressive it actually is. Just the whole thing, fake train, the screams that he does through the megaphone there, and the gunshot wheel thing that you see. Who comes up with this stuff? It's amazing. And by the way, as I mentioned before, this short was released during World War II, and all that stuff that Bugs is carrying was stuff that was either rationed before or was still being rationed when this short was being released. So you got sugar and meats and that sort of thing, and wow, once again, Ryder is so stupid. I guess I've got an affinity for stupid characters. I mean, my favorite short of all time is Don't Ray Meow, which features the stupidest cat in Looney Tunes history, so there is that. Now, the bit where Ryder is getting all excited riding a hitching post, and yes, I had to look up what the correct terminology is. Apparently it's a hitching post. If I'm wrong, please let me know in the comments. But just the fact that, okay, the horse speeds off and he's on that hitching post, he's just riding along, all excited like a little overgrown child, basically. But before the horse leaves, look at his hoofs, how it just turns into blocks before leaving the screen. Who thinks of those things? I don't know, but hey, it works pretty well.
Get along, horsey. Giddy up, horsey. Hi-yo, horsey. Get along, little doggy. Giddy up, giddy up. And a horsey. Look at me go, look at me go. Hey, look at me, I'm a riding side saddle. I'm a riding side saddle. Well, I am.
But then when the horse re-enters the picture, he's just all pissed off with Red Hot Rider, and his hoofs even turn into fingers. And if you listen very closely, you can hear the tapping of the so-called fingers for a while before the music disappears, and you just hear the tapping of the fingers there. And a great bit to slow-mo, by the way, is when the horse is punching Rider there. Superb. But as a kid watching this one, I don't think that glue did too much, because in the following shot, he's just still bounding around, but I guess it's symbolic, right? So, of course, they're riding along. You see Bugs just laying there, having his carrot, using a knife, just eating it in a particular way, which is a nice little touch. But how long does Bugs' leg gets there? It's ridiculous. And how strong would that leg be too? Because that leg probably get crushed otherwise. But anyway, cartoon logic. I know. But then we get an extended shot of him just still eating his carrot by slicing up that carrot. Sure. Okay. I can go with that. And now we get Old Man Postmaster Bugs doing such a great voice. I've always loved when Mel Blanc does Bugs imitating someone else or doing a different role. It just shows how great he was at doing voices. But man, that had a touch where, okay, we see the shot with Ryder and we see the horse next to him where it's just his butt, of course, without any detail, because I would imagine Clampett would have some censorship issues otherwise. But it's just the fact that Red Hot Rider doesn't even know his own name. So it's like, which one of you is Red Hot Rider? And he starts pointing at the horse's butt, and he's like, oh, it's me. So, yeah, did I mention he was stupid?
Which one of you characters is Red Hot Rider?
Me.
I don't think I did, right? But anyway, but one example of a censorship Clampett short, but something actually intentional, is the telegram. I don't know who the names are on this telegram. Maybe there's just some staffers, family, friends. I don't know who. But anyway, but we do know it's a parody because it says Western Bunions instead of Western Union. So there's that. And those dirty fingers. I wonder whose fingers that they painted off of. I don't know, but it's still a nice touch there. And we get the greatest poem of all time. Roses are red, violets are pink. They're not, but anyway. Violets are pink, flowers smell good, but you sure...
I sure what? Stink, you fool, stink!
And Bugs really drives that point home. Stink, you fool, stink. And now we lead to our final gag, where it's a whole series of obstacles that for some reason Bugs is making Red Hot Rider jump over with his horse. So it starts off relatively small and it builds up and up and up to the Grand Canyon at the very end, and we get the beautiful music in the background. That's just perfectly suited to this particular scene. Now, we've already discussed in the commentary about the horse going inside out, but no matter how many times I see that, I just question who came up with that, because that is so damn brilliant. And this horse struggles and even stops and prays for a brief moment, and Bugs just blows him away with that incredibly strong breath of his, and the horse just shrugs and falls down. And that little shrug was a repeated bit from what the cat did in Bertie and the Beast. So I guess they thought it was a good idea that they thought they'd just reuse it. But anyway, so then in the end, Red Hot Rider finally realizes that it was the Masked Marauder that doing all of this, and Bugs says it's the $64 question. And that's a reference to the famous quiz show, Take It or Leave It, where that was the big prize. You would answer a question and the money would double all the way up to $64. And at the end of the cartoon, we hear Goodnight Sweet Prince, and that's from Hamlet, in case you were wondering. But wow, I did a video ages ago in my early days of the channel where I did my top Bugs Bunny shorts, and this was definitely on there. It's a 10 out of 10 short. It is brilliant. Again, I understand people have issues with this one not really having much of a story, and Bugs is out of character as a villain, but it's fun. It's fun. It's not like you don't have other Bugs Bunny shorts doing it the quote-unquote correct way. This is a great one. Great animation, and even great use of limited animation in the beginning. The vocal work by Robert C. Bruce and, naturally, Mel Blanc here is just superb, and there's a reason that this one is quoted as one of the great Bugs Bunny shorts of all time. So, yeah, 10 out of 10. But that'll do it for this one. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and until next time, take care.
friend was really the masked marauder.
That's right, that's right. You win the $64 question. Good night, sweet prince.